An ambition we have of the summit this year is to build the case for the use of measurement and analytics in order to enhance business performance. And we'll be capturing ideas all the way through, and David Rockland will be referring to this afternoon. But along that way, we'll be sharing best practice and learning from global brands, we've just heard from the first one, and see what stage they are on their measurement journey. And talking of a journey,
the long and winding road that leads to your door.
Please give a good Madrid Summit welcome to Marguerite Marston, Commercial Public Relations Manager for IKEA US.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you, everybody. I'm happy to be here with you this morning. And I thought it was interesting that the folks before me talked about a bit of a journey, and now here I am sharing my journey story with you. I am from IKEA in the United States, and I work in the commercial PR, which is we're really looking at product and brand stories. So I don't cover the corporate side of the business, just to set that up for you. So our journey has been a bit of a long one, and it's one that we started about 2 years ago. And I'm really going to speak, obviously, from the client's perspective. And to let you know, today, I'm going to talk a little bit about where we are in this journey. So, why am I here speaking to you today? Well, David Rockland heard of, Ketchum is my agency that I work with, and David heard about my challenge and about what we were doing, so he thought it might be interesting to have IKEA speak with you today. So, this is where we've gotten to so far. And I'm going to take a look back at where we've been in this journey. So I think that this looping arrow here represents a little bit of how we've been working. And we're continually moving forward in this upward direction, but from time to time, we've had a little bit of these stumbling blocks. So those are the loopy parts of the arrow that you see there. It hasn't been an easy or steady progression, but it is progressing. It just, it takes these backslides. And that's a little bit about where we've gone. If I think about my previous CMO, he was his attitude was, just get buzz, get those stories for us, you're doing a great job, but we don't need to measure anything. It's not important. We don't need to spend the money on measurement. You don't need to worry about that. Just do more of the good stuff that you're already doing. Well, at first, that sounded great. That was a great, he affirmed what I was doing, and I felt, okay, that's a great way to go. He moved into a different role at IKEA, moved back to Europe, and a new CMO came in. And she was much more focused on the business and the business results and how marketing, the department I work in, is going to contribute to those business results. So my colleagues in the other parts of marketing really got on the stick when it came to working with measurement and analytics and insights. And I started to observe what they were doing, and I realized that I wasn't contributing in any strong way to that effort, and that if I wanted to really be a full business partner, I needed to start doing that myself as well, specifically to our PR efforts. So yes, we, like many other businesses, we're only measuring the number of clips, the number of stories that ran. We were not measuring AVEs, even though some of my global counterparts are still doing that. So that took us to the next step. So if I think about what stopped us from measuring in the very first place, or what were some of the barriers that inhibited us from getting there? Well, let me take you through a little story here and talk to you about why measurement seemed to be complicated to me at first. I don't know if this mic is working or not. You can hear me, okay. No, you cannot? You can, okay. This is the IKEA lac table. Some of you in this room may own this because it's one of our better selling products. And at first, this appears to be very simple, wouldn't you say? It only has 4 legs and a top, 5 pieces. It's flat packed, fits in a box. It's relatively small. You can easily take it home. It's a really affordable and great price for a product. Very typical of IKEA. Yet, I think it's pretty ingenious, and I want to tell you something about this. If you were to take the top off of this table and slice it away, it's a frame, and inside of that frame is a honeycomb-shaped piece of cardboard that expands and fits into that frame. That cardboard that is shaped like honeycomb gives it strength, and it gives it the strength that will hold this top and keep it rigid. So inside of it, it's hollow, except for that cardboard that's in there. But it's not adding any weight. And at IKEA, because we're shipping so many products around the world, the weight of products in a shipping container adds to the purchase cost. The fact that it's flat packed reduces the shipping costs. And all of those costs are then passed along, those savings are passed along to our customers, which is part of the IKEA DNA. It's all about finding ways to make the products good, but at an affordable price for our customers. So, we think this is pretty ingenious. The other thing that's ingenious about this is that it saves on the number of trees. If this was to be a solid piece of wood, it would use an amazing amount. It would use a huge slab of a tree. But it doesn't, because it's not made from a solid piece. So that's pretty ingenious. But the beauty of this is it's simple. When I look at these dashboards, these are not simple. They're pretty, to me, these are really complicated. Now, for some businesses that are more mature or further along in their process, they need this kind of information. But for us, we're just getting started. And also for IKEA, where we're not as complicated, or we try to take things in a very simple manner, in a very direct, straightforward manner. This information would not work for us. So my point that I'm making is about understanding your clients, understanding where they are in this journey, and trying to tailor what you provide to them so that they can best use it, interpret it, and then be able to share that with other people. Because if I, as your client, can't understand this in a simple way, like I can this table, I won't be able to take this information and then communicate that with others that then need to know it in a really clear way. Also, there's been a lack of awareness, I think, from myself and from other PR colleagues about really what could be measured beyond simple clips and the number of articles that are written about us. We actually, if you don't know what you don't know, and I'm here today to tell you, we don't know all of the things that are available to us and how we might use different measurement to help us tell our story in a good way. Also, PR has very much been an afterthought. It's unfortunate to have to say that, but I have to be honest. And part of that has to do with this understanding of what PR can do as part of the full marketing mix, or the communications mix, to go out there and to communicate the value of what you do. And by having measurement, it certainly will help us to be able to tell that story in a better way. The other challenge that we have is this budget prioritization. How do we take our very small budgets that we traditionally have in PR and chunk that out? It's somewhat of a circular problem that we have. If we don't allocate money to measurement, then we're never able to demonstrate or explain the value of what we do. So by not doing it, we're not going to get more monies allocated to our budgets. So we really, at least I discovered, I needed to make that leap and say, okay, I've got to carve out a piece of my budget. I need to start doing this, because then I'll be able to tell this story in a more complete way. I'll be able to explain what we're doing in the language of the people who work with the budgets. So, if you haven't figured it out yet, all of my titles have Beatles songs in them. And Revolution, obviously, is one of the songs. But this is more about an evolution that we're on, and what we've done and how we've changed. So what I did is I started to try to educate myself. With the help of David's folks and with the help of Ketchum, I really started to become aware of the Barcelona principles. I attended some webinars and some seminars. I started to speak to my global colleagues about what they were doing and what were they measuring. And I really took these baby steps, and I'm still taking these baby steps over time. Originally, we were measuring our major campaigns that we would do each year, and now we're starting to measure our efforts over the full year. And we've just started to do that just recently. And we're moving from measuring just outcomes to, so I always get this confused, from outputs to outcomes. I understand the difference between the two, I just get the two words messed up. So that gives you another example of how I'm not even that familiar with the language that you guys all are familiar with. I want to tell you about one of the campaigns that we've worked on for the last 3 years, or 2.5 years. And it's in the United States, we introduced a new communications platform 2.5 years ago, and it was called IKEA, the Life Improvement Store. And we felt that we needed to explain, what did we mean by the Life Improvement Store? So we came up with Ketchum's help, we came up with an idea to introduce the Life Improvement Project. And the Life Improvement Project had 3 major efforts to it. One was we offered a sabbatical, and it was a contest for people to enter to win, to be awarded a $100,000 prize and a year-long sabbatical to work on a cause that would help to benefit other people in their community or in the United States. We also had a coworker program where in all of our 38 stores in the United States, coworkers would be able to vote on a project for their local community and then go and work on this local project. Then another aspect of communicating the Life Improvement Project and what that meant is we had seminars in our stores so that even at the local level, customers could come in and participate in some seminars that would help them to improve their lives at home with all different tips and ideas, and it would be very practical. So with this, just starting about 6 months ago, as we went into our 3rd year of the Life Improvement Project, we started to, and this is a fully integrated program with all of my other marketing colleagues, but it was something that was initiated by PR. We started to measure the outcomes. We wanted to know what the behavior changes were and how were people changing over time. So we decided that we would establish some common objectives. Well, if I think about the metrics that all of us report in, if I think about what the people in the advertising were doing, we each had our own channel of measuring all of our outputs. And every one of us had our channel. But we didn't aggregate this in any way. So we had this idea, well, what if we created this, large spreadsheets with everybody's information, and each person had a tab? But how would we pull this together? And that was when we came up with this idea of using something that was in common to all of us, and those would be the outcomes. Those would be the behavior changes that we see. So we asked a set of questions before we launched the program this past year in the fall, and then we are measuring that again. We just asked that same question again just about a month or two ago so that we could see if we've had some behavior change. And we will ask these questions again as we conclude the program at the end of the summer. Just to give you an example of one of the questions, and this is not going to be a big revelation for any of you guys, but it was, we asked, how do you feel about IKEA's Life Improvement Program? And when we asked this measure the first time, 58% of the respondents were positive to it. They thought it was a really good idea. We measured it 5 months later, and then we moved that metric to 64%. And then we will measure it again as we go further. So yes, these are part of these baby steps I talked about, but the baby steps were working together through this integrated manner so that we would all share these metrics, which is kind of revolutionary for us, and then measuring people's change and behavior change over time. Another thing that we've done recently that I'm really excited about, and it's really given us it's given me and my colleagues a new level of insights into what we're doing, and that was finally participating in a market mix model. That was a whole new concept to me a year ago. One of my best friends at IKEA happens to be our insights manager, which is really unfortunate for me because I'm able to prod a little bit and get included in things that I might not otherwise. And we were doing a market mix model a year ago, and we tried to get PR included in that. Well, we just did not have enough information in order to get a good read in the modeling. You guys probably understand what I'm talking about. I didn't understand why, after we put all this, was effort and money behind it, that it didn't work the first year. So I was frustrated, and I said, well, darn it, we're going to figure out how to do this next year, and we're going to get included somehow. I don't know how that's going to work, but we've got to make it work because we've put too much effort into this. So this past year, we came out with the next set of, the next tool, I guess it was, and PR was included. And for the very first time, we were able to see what the ROI was for PR. Well, that was like a light bulb going off for me. And not only for me, but also for my colleagues in the marketing group, and also for others who have seen this. I shared this information with my global matrix partner who came from Sweden a few weeks ago, and she had never seen anything like this before. And it was like a major aha moment to finally see what the ROI was and how we contribute to the sales effort, because nobody ever realized, or we didn't realize, that PR could actually contribute and help drive to the business, drive to business. So that was a wonderful opportunity for us, and it's something that now I'm a huge advocate of because it's given me a new level of understanding of what's possible. So yes, things are getting better all the time. I think that song, as the way that song went. And as I talked about, we are able to now show how efficient PR is. Certainly, I don't need to be telling any of you about the efficiency of PR. It's an amazing tool when you start to see it as it plays out in the whole marketing mix. When I see it compared to the inefficiencies of some other channels that we have that we put huge amounts of money into. Also, you know, the way that we are, the different methods that we are using to improve and evaluate our PR efforts are evolving and changing. They're getting better. And it's a matter of really staying with it. One of the things that we discovered just recently through looking at the most recent report that we've generated that looks over a full 6 months of all of the work that we've done. As I said to you earlier, we were just measuring programs as we would have these major programs. Now we're starting to look at all of our results for the full year. And one example of something that we've been able to tweak and change because of the information that we just received is we realized that we were getting a lot of stories out there, but we weren't getting our spokespersons. Our spokespersons weren't being quoted in the stories, in the articles. And I feel that that's something that we want to move towards. So that's a change that we're making, and we're working towards that right now. So yes, PR in IKEA US, I'm very pleased because we do have this seat at the integrated table. It's something that we've had all along, and it's really helping PR to become more influential. So what help do I need from you? I need you to help us to keep it simple. How you can contribute to the work that we do is by making the data understandable so that we can translate it. Helping us to understand how the outcomes will benefit us, because that's really the language that the other marketing folks speak. We speak about behaviors and what the consumer thinks. So moving away from just measurement and numbers to how it's changed people's behavior is important. Please understand your client's needs. Understand where we are in this journey and tailor your approach to us so that it's appropriate to where we are in our level of understanding. It's through this partnership and education and helping to educate us that we will become more valuable as clients to you. Build these true partnerships with us. Build the trust level, because through that trust, you're going to have a longer and more engaged partner, I think. And be patient with us. No, this is not a language that we speak and understand, and by you knowing that about us, I think it'll give you a leg up to your relationships. And it does take time. It's not something that happens overnight. It's been a two-year journey for me. I have so many other priorities that measurement hasn't been my first priority. I have to tell you that. That's a part of the loopy business. So at IKEA, we always think in terms of much remains to be done, and we say it's a glorious future. And I use this metaphor of the stone wall here. And this is, if you think about Sweden and being where the glacial plain is and all the rocks that came down through the ice ages, and every spring the farmers have to go out and clear the fields of the rocks that have pushed up over the winter frost in the winter season before they can go and start to plow the fields again. So it really shows, the hardworking Swedish mindset, and that attitude carries through in all that we do at IKEA. And it's really about, we're just on our way. It's a journey. We're never completed. The job is always still there. It's always evolving. So for us, this journey continues, and I hope that I will become an advocate for sharing the topic of measurement and how we could do it in a better way with my other colleagues at IKEA on a global basis. I'm sharing this with my larger organization back at home, and over time we will be refining this process and learning more each day. So in Swedish we say tack, as a way of saying thank you, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to you this morning, and I'd love to know what questions you have.
I have a question on the front row, please.
Evgeny Larionov, Ex Libris Russia. Dear Marguerite, thank you for your wonderful presentation, actually. I especially like the example with the table. It was really nice. And this is the core idea of IKEA. I really enjoy this. We talked about simplicity yesterday, and you told us about the same things today. And I would like to ask you to share probably your approach in measurement. I mean, some metrics that are simple and work good for you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, of course, the metrics that are simple, the simplest ones are, of course, measuring tone and sentiment, number of clips and the number of impressions. Those are the simplest. But as we're moving towards really the outcomes, we're now just identifying what those would be, and we're starting with trying to ask specific questions before we start a program that will allow us to track back, such as the example I gave of what is a person's impression of a certain attribute, such as, what do you think of this project, or and then measure that over time to see if we've changed a person's opinion of that. We aren't asking questions today about, say, quality, but that might be something that we would ask in the future. Or if there was another message point that we wanted to track to. So it's about asking different kinds of questions than we've asked before so that we can measure that over time.
We have time for another question.
Hello, thanks very much. It's Philip from Kantar. I'm just wondering, you can buy the same LAC table in the US, Sweden, London, etc. So is there the potential to standardize, globalize a suite of metrics? I mean, you mentioned that your peer from Sweden hadn't seen this, how you were measuring before. So is there any appetite within IKEA to have a standard suite of metrics that can be applied globally?
If I have anything to do with it, I certainly hope that there will be, because I think that because we are a matrix organization and every country is allowed to operate differently, we do not have a top-down corporate office telling us how to operate in the countries. It's really allowed, each country can operate the way that they choose and allocate their resources accordingly. So there are some countries are further ahead on this, other countries are haven't even started yet. I do hope that we will have some standardized form of measurement that is simple enough that all countries will be able to contribute to it, because otherwise we won't be able to, in a sense, benchmark against each other. And we need this to be able to report back PR and our contribution to the more global senior management. So I think it's coming. It's just a matter of time as well for folks in a global function to figure it out and come up with what would be the best suited for all of our countries.
Marguerite, thank you for being with us
Thank
in
you.
Madrid. Thank you.